Samuel Oldknow. And this is the cast of A Fine Yarn.
And this is the Oldknow 200 Festival!
Every year, Marple holds a carnival parade.
The story of Samuel Oldknow in Marple opens in Marple Memorial Park a week today.
In 1990, for the first time, the carnival marked the opening of 2 weeks of festivities to celebrate the bicentennial of Samuel Oldknow's arrival in town.
'cause there are lots of girls besides. I would like to be beside the seaside, beside the sea.
An exhibition in the library, mounted by the local history society, attracted great interest. It featured a detailed scale model of Oldknow's mill. So, who was Samuel Oldknow? We asked Marple shoppers that question some months before the festival.
He was a mill owner.
Factories and that. Look, you could give loads of orphans, didn't he, or something?
The homes for children. There was a couple of those here, so he could have his slave labour work.
Oh, well, yes, that's true. He housed the children that worked in the mills, didn't he? Yeah.
Well, he opened a mill, didn't he? Down at Marple Bridge there.
I didn't know. He built all I know that he's the one that invented Marple.
Well, there's some of the old bridges and some of the old part of the Roman lakes. I'm not sure if he was involved in that.
No, I know Mr. Arkwright was a mill owner, but I don't know much about the Oldknows. The Oldknows, is it the Oldknows?
Great, thank you very much.
Right.
The festival's main aim was to raise awareness of local history. For months, adults and children of the town, most with no previous drama experience, have been rehearsing probably the most ambitious undertaking of the festival, a fine yarn. The play, with 7 promenade performances, looks at the effect Oldknow had on Marple and its people, from his first arrival here in 1790. At the age of 34, he was already the country's leading producer of quality muslins, and was attracted to the banks of the River Goyt from his previous bases in Bolton and Stockport. He purchased Bottom's estate, its eastern boundary marked by the Roman bridge, then set about diverting the river via sluice gates to create mill ponds. The ponds were later misleadingly named the Roman Lakes by some Victorian entrepreneur. By the river, he built his new home, Mellor Lodge, described at the time as a beautiful and romantic villa. Close by, he built Mellor Mill. Powered by 3 water wheels, the mill was an impressive 400 feet long and 6 stories high. But in order to supply enough labour to work his machines, Marple's population of 500 had to be expanded.
Now I know she's skinny, but she's got plenty of stamina, haven't you?
Right, now, come on, let's get them all of them out. That one there, come on, out, come on, forward.
He brought orphans from the workhouses of London. For them, the prospect of leaving the squalor of their conditions in the city for the fresh air and fields of the Marple countryside must have been enticing.
Yeah.
No, we have sufficient. Mr. Oldknow was quite precise. No more, no less.
We sing as we travel the long winding road. We sing as we journey along. We sing of the life we're longing to lead, a place where nothing goes wrong. With plenty to eat and plenty to spend, in Marple we'll start anew. We're striding along with a string in our step, to Marple and you can come too.
The accommodation for the youngsters at Bottom's Farm was quite attractive and in a fine setting. By 1798, there were about 100 apprentices in Oldknow's employ. However, the reality was long hours worked in the hot and noisy mill. At its peak in 1804, 10,000 spindles were in operation with a workforce of 550. Mainly women and children were employed in the mills, but Oldknow would have found that in order to attract families to the area, he also had to offer employment to the menfolk. This area along Strides Road became heavily industrialised in Oldknow's time. Little remains of the lime kilns complex, which he built to provide employment for the men. Limestone, brought by canal boats, was loaded into the top of the kilns, along with coal, which Oldknow mined locally. The burnt lime was taken from grates at the base and loaded onto wagons, and taken via tram tracks to the dispatch buildings. These buildings still survive, their architectural merit typical of Oldknow properties, and now make interesting and attractive homes. The canal spur, that was designed to take away the burnt lime for building and farming use to other northern towns, has now gone. Some of the lime, though, would have been used at Bottom's Farm, built adjacent to the apprentice house. Here Oldknow grew marrows, peas, green turkey cucumber, Italian broccoli, Welsh onions and orange carrot. He built accommodation for the cattle, which provided meat for his factory workers, deducting the amount of their purchases from their wages. His was a model farm, and in 1828 his agricultural experiments were recognised when he was made president of the Derbyshire Agricultural Society. Peak Forest Canal was another of Samuel Oldknow's contributions to the appearance of modern Marple. He was the main promoter and chief shareholder of the canal, which falls 210 feet through Marple and a flight of 16 locks, among some of the deepest in the country. This was Oldknow's warehouse, built to store goods ready for shipment along the canal. The canal network, until made defunct by the railways, was the main method of moving goods, and so was essential to Oldknow's schemes. Its construction involved one of the greatest engineering feats of the time, Marple Aqueduct. Designed by Benjamin Outram, it took 7 years to build and cost 7 lives. It opened in 1800. The canal later became unnavigable, but has been splendidly restored in recent times and is now used for perhaps more frivolous pursuits, like a duck race. Held in ideal weather for ducks. Oldknow's concern to develop Marple's links with the outside world was paralleled by his interest in spiritual matters. Pupils, dressed in period costume for the occasion, on a tour with local Oldknow expert, Steve Abbott.
This tower is the only part of the building which is remaining of Oldknow's church that he built, because the previous church wasn't, it was leaking, it was in a poor state of repair, so he needed a proper church. So he built this church in 1809, and the original letter, which is in the library, which we'll see later, is signed by Oldknow to bring stone from the Tor quarry to build the tower. The bells in this tower are from St Mary's Church in Stockport, and they're dated 1730s, I think it is.
Oldknow left few aspects of life in Marple untouched. Between his church and the canal, he built a Sunday school. Day schools were scarce in the early 19th century, and for working class children, such Sunday schools would have been the sole opportunity for education. So, what have the children and adults of a fine yarn learnt? Trevor Jones plays Samuel Oldknow.
He was certainly a very remarkable man. He primed the pump in many ways, as entrepreneurs and industrialists did. Although he made many mistakes and lacked a lot of financial backing that might be available today, he was a very remarkable person, and in this particular area, of course, the impact of everything he built is there to be seen and is still with us. And in that sense, you know, his impact is very considerable indeed.
I've learnt that Samuel Oldknow was I better be nice, hadn't I? Was an old swine, really. Not a very nice man, not nice to know. I wouldn't have liked him.
Well, I work in the mill and I'm my mum's daughter. I forgot my name anyway.
It's not like acting in other plays. It's where, I mean, a lot of it, I'm in most of the crowd scenes as part of the crowd, but you are important, so no one feels sort of slighted. Oh dear, I'm not important enough. It's a nice way of acting, especially outside and with the audience, hopefully. But we've never tried anything with the audience, so we don't know whether it will work or not.
But work it did, and over the second week of the festival, more than 1,000 people came to watch this unique celebration of Marple's history.
Shilling a pea. The mill's on fire! Quickly, quickly, get a bucket, quickly! Did you set this mill on fire, boy? You'll be fine! Threepence!
Maybe a bridge or two across the River Goyt. Aye, and even a canal from here to Manchester.
A canal? Oh, John Bank, I suppose.
Look, if the Duke of Bridgewater can do it, so can I. I can see it now. An aqueduct over the River Goyt. Perhaps a flight of water to bring the canal right down into the centre of town.
Maggie Willett, writer and director of the play.
The last couple of weeks have just been fantastic because everybody's like just come in and realised that this is going to be successful, and the backstage team has been got together in a week, and I've never done that in my life, and they have to put all this huge set out and then, you know, put it away again, and they've become a team in a week. You know, that's been amazing, that.
So, what became of Samuel Oldknow. The period he lived through was a difficult one, and the trades he chose unpredictable. Some of his projects did not in themselves make money, such as his church and the houses he built for his workers. These were part of his vision of building a community. Records show Oldknow calling again and again on his backers, Sir Richard Arkwright, and Richard Arkwright Jr. in particular, for more money. Within 10 years, his lime kilns were working at a loss and were sold. The Canal building was a massive drain on his funds, and the cotton trade itself was subject as much to fashion then as in our own time. In the end, though, it seems Oldknow's imagination outstripped his financial abilities. Oldknow died, unmarried, in 1828. 3,000 people turned out to line the funeral route from Mellor Lodge to All Saints Church. He left massive debts totalling £206,000. In order to raise enough money for his many projects, he had to form a partnership with the younger Arkwright, and it was Arkwright who took over Oldknow's estate. And then, in 1892, only the corn mill was left standing after the fire. Now that too has gone. Today, the area makes an attractive and peaceful retreat for the people of Marple. It now betrays few clues to its industrial past. Lost too is Oldknow's home, Mellor Lodge, which survived to the 1930s but sadly became vandalised and was demolished. The seat Oldknow had made on the hillside, from which to survey his empire, is overgrown. The panorama, which once encompassed the mill ponds, Bottom's Farm and Mellor Mill, is now obscured. 200 years on, our view of Oldknow is also obscured. We can choose to see this man as an exploiter of the poor, or as a man of humanity and the community, as a failed businessman, or as a visionary. But one thing we can say for certain. The landscape that attracted Oldknow to Marple 200 years ago is enhanced for us now by the projects that he promoted and approved. Marple owes a lot to Samuel Oldknow.